It's really only been 250 years since the beginning of this modern civilization. You know, this civilization that's the civilization arising, coming out of the Industrial Revolution. All the technology that we have, all the incredible inventions that have been made, our capacity to communicate with each other so that we all gather here together, even though it's all up in the ether someplace. But we can communicate all over the world instantaneously. We can travel all over the world in very short order. We live longer lives than we have, than generations before us, much longer lives. So amazing inventions and really an extraordinary civilization. And yet, in contrast, just for a moment, the species on the planet that has the greatest brain size in relation to its body is the bottlenose dolphin. They've been around 5 million years or so. One of our closest primate relatives, the gorillas, have been around 20 million years. In all of the 5 million and 20 million years that those species have existed, they didn't come close to threatening the planet, the life of the species on it, as we have come in a mere 250 years. Think about this for a moment. Just think about a few of the things that have occurred in the last 70 to 100 years. We saw the Holocaust come out of movements, particularly fascism and Nazism, but we saw 3 movements, at least, of totalitarian systems, if we throw in communism as well, that crushed human freedom. We saw coming out of technological advances during that time, we saw a nuclear weapon that terrified all of us, all of the human species, our parents, our grandparents, terrified all of us because we knew that it could destroy humanity and perhaps many other species as well. And now, 60, 70 years later, we have the threat that's developed over the last 30 years, this recognition that we have that in fact we are in danger of destroying the planet, of wiping out species, possibly our own as well, due to the industrial kind of rage that we have going on across the planet. And now as well, in the last few years, we've begun to recognize that maybe the fascism, totalitarianism that we saw 70, 80 years ago is something that could easily come back, coming back because largely we've created these enormous, incredible hierarchies of power coming out of very rapid technological change. And we've allowed those hierarchies of power to develop, and wherever hierarchies of power to develop, it's relatively easy for governments or government figures to grab some of them if they like. All we have to do is we go back to, I mean, it's happened forever. We go back to Henry VIII wiping out all the monasteries, just like that. So it's a time, thinking about this made me feel compelled, passionate, that this is a time to create something different. This is no time to mess around. If you think about this last 100 years, you think about it from a business standpoint, what lousy management. How could we possibly have put democratic freedoms, freedom of people all over the planet, and the life of species into danger? How could we possibly have done that? So it made me think that there's a shift that we need to do. And that shift starts with the vision of a golden civilization? It starts with knowing where we want to go. Think for a moment, let's just take one extraordinary thing from our current life. Take the Cassini satellite. Okay, so that, I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's what goes out to Saturn's rings and takes the photographs and sends us that wonderful information back. What an incredible thing. You know, NASA has a term for the systems that are used for that kind of work, for that satellite, and I know it's used in many technological facets of society today. And that is that those systems that send that satellite to Saturn have to have integrity, right? They have to have integrity. What about the systems for planet Earth? What about the systems for civilization, for a golden civilization? What about the systems for a great and sustainable democracy? Aren't those visions, aren't those much more complex than a mission to Mars, a mission to Saturn? You know, if that satellite were to miss its trajectory by just a few inches for every mile it goes, it would never arrive. It's time for us to create a vision for a golden civilization that is impeccable in its integrity around the planet Earth, around human freedom, around civilization itself. Impeccable in its integrity. Thank you.